Hi, this is Ashio, and welcome back to Echo. A lot of bad things have happened, but on the flip side, all of our friends are finally reunited. But we've gone after Heather, who we suspect is going to destroy a big water dam that's going to flood the entire town of Echo. We need to stop her, if we can. I don't know, we shall see. I've never actually been here before. Yeah, I don't think we have on any of the routes, I mutter. Fascinating. Now keep your voice down. I can see her car up by the service building. The building itself isn't too large, only about 500 square feet, with windows on all sides. We creep forward, Flynn with rifle in grasp. Micah, Cole, TJ and Leo are hunkered down behind the truck, out of the line of fire. Leo had been pretty insistent on going with us to approach, but both Jenna and Micah agreed that would probably be a bad idea. Unsurprisingly, we're the only vehicles parked out here. Alright? Jenna whispers, wiggling her paws out on either side of her, as if to shake the nerves out. I'm gonna announce myself and approach. Flynn, please just keep line of sight. Maybe she won't be as crazy out here. You know, on account of it being, less hummy or whatever. Flynn looks utterly goddamn perplexed at whatever I'm talking about. Honestly, I don't fully understand it myself, but its effects were pretty damn evident earlier. Well, it's a theory. It's all Jenna says, giving my waist a gentle pat, to which I frown. "Okay, I need to set up." Flynn eyes an outcropping along the side of the canyon edge next to us, pointing to it. The slope isn't too steep to climb, and the bushes and rocks act as natural cover for a vantage point. "I'll be up there. If you need me to shoot, just make the Charlie Horse symbol behind your back or something." "The Charlie Horse symbol?" I ask. Flynn rolls his eyes, then moves his hand down to his thigh and makes the OK gesture with his fingers, but turned upside down. I recognise it instantly, moments before Flynn strikes my thigh with his knuckles. Ow! Jenna quickly shoves her paw over my muzzle, shooting a glare at Flynn. "Flynn? Unacceptable." Flynn appears unapologetic, checking the lever on his repeater. "Okay, I'm heading up." Jenna lets out a little puff of air, her tail still behind her. Flynn turns, glancing back at her. "I got your back." She gives the Gita a grateful nod. "Thanks, Flynn." There's a pause, and she speaks again. "I'm glad you've cooled down since your outburst at the river. I know how much you wanted to talk." There's a strange timing to Jenna's words, a finality to them, as if she's getting words unsaid out in the open before facing the danger that awaits us. I think Flynn recognises this, and he stops. "Sid's dead. You two ain't yet. Let's keep it that way." Jenna and I stand there for a moment. "Wow," I mutter. I can tell it's an oversimplification of Flynn's feelings on the matter, but right now, that particular spat can wait. The others are starting to peek their heads out from behind the truck, wondering what we're doing. Not too late to back out, you know? Come on, Chase. Of course, I do appreciate the sentiment. I could always just take Cole's advice, though. He spoke to you. He was zonked out in the truck bed last I saw. She nods, lowering herself to a crouched position. I do the same, with a grimace. He mumbled, "Suplex her." I let out an amused exhale through my nose, untangling my tail from a bush I'm pushing through. "Oh, Cole, good to have him back." As we approach, I can see the front door to the service buildings open, light spewing out from the inside. We're far enough away that our truck isn't really visible. We prop ourselves up on either side of the door. Sniffling and distraught mumbling can be heard from inside, including the rapid flipping of pages and clicking noises from a computer terminal. "Hey, Heather?" The noise stops. "Oh boy." Jenna looks over at me, lowering her voice. "Chase, you might want to get back." "What? No, I'm not leaving you." "Jenna, you followed me?" Here we go again. Jenna comes out from her cover, and I peek in as well. Inside, a computer with a bunch of monitors hooked up to the walls turned on. One of those monitors has a window open called Floodgate Control. Maybe she knew what she was doing after all. "Chase." I grimace, trying to quickly shift it into a smile. "Hi." I can practically feel the cringe from Jenna beside me. I don't know why I said hello like that. It's been a long night. I clear my throat. "We wanted to make sure you're okay, and maybe see if you wanted to maybe reconsider your course of action." Heather reaches over toward the desk, and next thing I know, she has her pistol trained on us. We quickly duck back behind the wall. You two can't stop me. I know, this is what I have to do. I saw the future in like a dream, a waking dream. Everything worked out. Everything was underwater. There was peace. This has to be done. It has to be done. Her eyes flicked to the murky black water at the foot of the dam. There was quiet. It was a dream, but it wasn't a dream. You know what I mean? Jenna watches Heather, keeping close appraisal of her twitchy hand upon the revolver. Yeah, I do. Jenna responds flatly. I think we all do at this point, at least somewhat. I could see Flynn up on the rock ledge, moonlight glinting off the metal barrel of his repeater. He's looking at us with a curious expression. Then you understand. You don't, do you? The question must have been rhetorical, because she answers it before we can. I knew it! I should have stopped you when you broke into my house. You're bad, just like the rest of them. She raises the gun. There's the pitter-patter of small feet behind me, and the next thing I know, Micah's right at my side. One of his paws is on the small of my back, the other outstretched in front of us. Whoa, wait a second. Heather's tear-filled eyes shift to the bat. You again? God, why are you all here? Hear me the fuck out. No, you hear me out, idiot. Keith was like an umbrella. All the bad stuff just bounced off when he was around. After Keith left, everything went to crap, and you know it. Everyone started getting weird or leaving. You left, so you never saw how bad it got. You didn't have to watch it happen. We were all such good friends, and it's like I'm watching everyone dying. I feel like I'm dying, Micah. Everything hurts, and I can't think well anymore. And Daddy... She takes a sharp inhale in between her fangs, sputtering a bubble of spit before catching her breath. I just need to make it all go away, and then everything will be fine. I'm gonna move somewhere happy. You can move and be happy right the fuck now. Nothing's stopping you. Micah spits back. This is just the hum talking. You and I know how this shit goes. It will pass, and you'll feel better. We will all feel better. No. She screams, and Micah quickly ducks behind the edge of the doorway as she brings up her revolver. I do the same, though for a second, I think I see a flash of colour behind her that wasn't there before. I peek past the edge of the concrete wall long enough to realise what it is, and Jenna sees it too. That same tall, burned figure from Brian's trailer. It looms at the back of the room, staring at us, waiting. It's almost like a statue, unmoving beyond little twitches where it's suddenly shifted in position. It's unstable, or at least that's the best way I can describe it. Jenna. I see it. Heather's ranting about something, but I can't really focus. It's getting closer. Another foot nearer to Heather. What the shit? Jenna steps out from behind the wall suddenly, holding up the palms of her paws. Wait. Astonishingly, both Heather and the thing stop. Though it's still very much there, looming in the background. It's as if the world itself is distorting around it. 3 holes pierce its face, where the eyes and mouth should be. I look back up, toward where Flynn's at. He definitely should be able to see this thing, and I half expect a shot to ring out at any moment. But when I glance back, that thing isn't looking at Heather anymore. Its dark holes are aimed toward the hillside outside the door, where Flynn is. Heather stands wide-stanced, her finger an inch from the trigger. Heather. When I was growing up, I was very fortunate. It's not something I truly realised until relatively recently. Despite my circumstances at home, I truly had some incredible people, and other things. Jenna's eyes briefly flick up to the figure, looking out for me. The figure's head tilts ever so slightly. Brian's dead. Your father, he's certainly fucking dead. There's some zeal to Jenna's words, and it becomes rather evident she thinks this is a good thing, and they can't hurt you anymore. A thick tear streaks down Heather's cheek as Jenna takes a step closer, pointing outside to the south. Back in town, there are still people who genuinely care about you, the ones who stuck with you throughout all this. Jeremy, he's a complete turd, and I'd give him a piece of my mind if I saw him, but he genuinely likes you. Same with Clint. But Clint talks about all the things we used to do to you guys growing up, all the things that was said. Why are you saying they're good? What we do as children doesn't have to define us as adults. Heather, I don't honestly believe you want to hurt your friends. Heather shudders, hugging herself. I'd honestly be tempted to rush her for the gun if that thing weren't standing behind her, watching Jenna speak. Heather sobs, her thin wrists trembling, as if the weight of the pistol in her paws has burned at her for too long. Finally they droop, the gun limply hitting the floor. I flinch, though thankfully it doesn't go off. The red entity lingers so close to Heather, it's practically touching her. Then it's as if a great silent wind sucks it backward, its body contorting to the pull, a strip of its flesh disappearing into the void. And then it vanishes, fading into nothing. I rub my eyes, and it's gone. I can hear Jenna shudder beside me, before stepping up and taking the guide and keys and tossing them promptly into the water below. Micah picks up the gun, flicking open the chamber and spinning it with his thumb. Out of bullets. Fucking hell. Flynn skids down the hill, nearly tripping as he hustles over. You mad fucking tip-dirts actually did it! Micah and Jenna are staring at the spot where the monster was moments ago. Flynn, despite having us in his sights the whole time, seems oblivious. I wonder why that is. You should get the key to the city or some shit. No, that probably only unlocks an outhouse or something. Micah walks past him, letting out a string of unintelligible expletives and shaking his head. The sun begins to rise past the mountains to the east, the sky starting to become illuminated with purple and amber hues. In the distance, you can just barely make out one of the Mormon settlements down the river, on the edge of the reservation. I rest my head against the side of the truck, mentally exhausted and beyond words. I tried to think of the entity, but it's like trying to remember a dream, a fading horror that seemed so real at the time, but surely couldn't be. There's a soft thud beside me, and I soon realise it's Leo's butt, the wolf holding his concussed head in both paws as he rests beside me. About ready to head out, Otter? TJ and Carl approach, the ram shivering, and the lynx gently rubbing his back. Oh, we're going? He helps the ram up into the back. I mean, in a bit, I guess. Jenna and Micah are talking to Heather. Flynn wanders over, throwing the rifle in the back, before leaning his rump against the tyre. In the past, when shit got tough, the lizard would always run off to deal with things in his own terms. Yet here he is, slumped and exhausted like the rest of us. Finally, Jenna joins us. I give her a little thumbs up as I pass. She returns the gesture before sitting down as well. She props her chin up in her paws, her fluffy tail perked up to avoid getting smushed in the dirt. We sit in relative silence, beyond the faint sound of crickets and gently lapping water. You know, I'm gonna miss this place. Jenna glances over, frowning some. You know I was joking, right? I expected some laughter there. I think you're plenty funny, Jenna. I respond, tiredly. Micah, seemingly out of nowhere, comes up and props his elbow on the hood. Shut up, Chase. Now, are we fucking off or what? Oh, that was wild. But we somehow all survived. I dab my napkin in TJ's glass of water, wiping off the sticky syrup stain on my seat before sitting down. The lynx gives me a little look before taking a sip from his glass. Ah, about time. Here they come. Flynn's peering out the window toward the sheriff's office across the street. Sure enough, our trio of friends exit through the glass double doors, checking for traffic before crossing over to us. A few reporters from the parking lot spot them and try to get their attention, but Leo ushers them forward. He mutters something and Micah laughs, glancing over his shoulder. Jenna just shakes her head, clearly annoyed but relieved nonetheless. A few more squad cars roll out, honking at the news vans to get out of the way before heading down in the direction of Echo. The police were sure busy in there. Yeah, no wonder. They're all going to be in deep shit for their lack of response to all this. What was it, 14 hours before they even sent out a squad car to investigate the blackout? Well, the detective I talked to claimed they sent them out earlier, but there was some kind of traffic trouble. They couldn't get to us. Oh yeah, traffic trouble. That sure is a fucking valid excuse to ignore a whole town suddenly losing its internet and telephone communications. Flint grunts, the Gila looking over toward the quiet ram at his side. He's still wearing his dirty tank top, though the EMT's bandaged up the cuts on his arms and fetlocks. Fortunately, Leo's dad called and said that he's going to pick up a fresh pair of clothes for him. He also stated that Leo, Flynn and Cole could stay over at their house while the authorities sort everything out. Since they closed off the Flint Road access to Echo, no one can exactly go back for their stuff. Not that we're in any rush to go back, of course. The ram stares at the checkerboard patterned tabletop, saying nothing. Flynn frowns, nudging the ram with his shoulder. Hey, fat ass, why don't you take a look at the menu? I bet some chocolate chip waffles and ice cream sound good right about now, huh? The lizard smiles down at him as he slides over a menu. Carl looks up for a moment and then sluggishly flips it open. I think they serve your parents' brand of ice cream here. TJ forces a smile, which is a strange sight in and of itself. A happy face usually comes so naturally to the Lynx, but now he just looks frazzled. Understandable, really. Something cold sounds good right about now. Fuck yeah, I bet. The ram flips to the next page, though I can see he's not really reading anything. His face starts to scrunch, and he exhales through flared nostrils. He scrunches again, and soon his gaze falters, his arms beginning to shake. His eyes press shut, and he lets out a nearly inaudible sob, tears rolling down his cheeks. Flynn reaches over and puts an arm around him, tugging him close. Hey, it's okay. He squeezes the ram's shoulder. Cole sniffs, hiccuping once before letting his muzzle push into Flynn's chest. TJ looks away, his own eyes begin to water again. I'm gonna order you the banana split and a big glass of lemonade. He pauses. Also a salad? For your health and shit? The Lynx begins to quietly cry, though keeps his face hidden by a napkin. We must be making quite the scene for the other folks in here, but I rightly don't give too much of a damn. However, this is all making me realise that I sure could go for a hug right about now. Flynn, still holding the traumatised ram, looks at me across the booth with a soft frown. As the two non-weeping members of our group here, I guess there's some solidarity in that. Not that I feel particularly great or anything. I certainly feel a lot less numb than I did in Echo, though. Thinking about all that happened really freaks me out, so I've been trying not to. At least right now. Chase. Yeah? Thanks. His tone of voice is so strange and sincere, I can't hide my look of surprise. Oh, no problem, though I think we owe the most to Jenna and Micah. Yeah, I already talked to them at the station. Never would have thought that little shithead bat would ever do anything that didn't serve himself. Yeah, he's pretty cool, I guess. I kinda think you'd get along with him. Flynn lets out a little grunt, running a hand up and down along the ram's arm. Wouldn't push it that far. And guess we'll never know, 'cause I'm moving the fuck out quick like. My house is probably worth jack shit now, even less than it was before, but I'll worry about the money later. TJ wipes his eyes, clearing his throat. Maybe you could start one of those online fundraiser things, since it's getting so much attention on the news. I'm sure there are plenty of people, like the folks at my church, who'd be happy to donate to help you get back on your feet. Take charity from strangers. Flynn looks out toward the news vans outside. A particularly antsy-looking newswoman is currently getting chewed out by a police officer in SWAT gear. Though it looks like the news lady is grinning him right back, shoving the microphone into his face. To think that's what I want to be one day, a guy with a camera, chasing tragedies for profit. Maybe I should change my major. I glance back toward Flynn and Cole, the ram still visibly crying, but no longer racked by quaking sobs. For some reason, I smile, if only for a moment. Or you could just marry the wealthy heir you helped save from abduction a couple of hours ago. I'm sure that comes with some financial stability. TJ immediately stops crying, blinking at me, then Flynn across the table. Flynn's eyes go wide, before he quickly furrows his brow. Fuck you, Chase. Despite everything, if the lizard could blush, I have a feeling he'd be doing it right now. Cole does seem to hug on to him a little tighter. The bell on the front door jingles as they're pushed open, and I can see Leo peeking in searching for us. Once he spots our booth, he gestures in our direction toward the others, and they make their way over. I swear, those fucking useless pigs were going to keep me locked in there indefinitely till you vouched for me. Just 'cause they can't do their fucking job, they gotta find someone to pin all this bullshit on. Why not the kid with the record? They're still trying to figure out what exactly happened. And they won't, because it ain't the sort of thing that can be figured, you know? Oh yeah, I know that now. Jenna closes her eyes for a moment, though they open again as she startles from Leo coming up behind her. He's about to speak when a particularly rotund alligator woman saunters up beside me. She's wearing a white polo shirt, jeans, and a blue Pancake House apron. Why, hello there. You all got enough room here in the booth? She smiles, seemingly unfazed by the sorry state we all look to be in. I suppose when you work at a 24/7 diner in the middle of the desert, you see some oddball customers. TJ blinks, and then mutters an apology as he scoots himself over closer to Flynn. I do the same, and Jenna moves to sit beside me. Micah and Leo take the opposite side. We're in the long corner booth that actually has several mini tables, but with all of us together, we're shoulder to shoulder in here. We each tell the waitress what we want in no particular order. Micah practically blurts out what he wants: 2 hash browns, 6 house-style waffles, toast with strawberry jam, and a side of bacon. Meanwhile, I ask for a large iced tea with a bowl of vanilla ice cream. Jenna insists I get something healthy in my stomach, so she offers to split her turkey sandwich. I smile at her and accept, relaxing against the pleather backing of the booth's seat. Our server finally gets to Flynn and Cole, and both of them don't seem to be too focused on what she's saying. Flynn's staring at his phone, and Cole's leaning into him with a distant look in his eyes. TJ gingerly nudges the Gila, and Flynn quickly looks up at the alligator. Banana split and a garden salad please, with 2 lemonades. Pink. What? Pink lemonade. Flynn looks at Cole, like his last shred of masculinity can't possibly bear to utter those words aloud. Fortunately, the waitress writes down Cole's correction with that same unjudging smile. 2 pink lemonades. Ugh. Alright, that's all. I'll be back with you folks in a bit. Cole lowers his noggin back into Flynn, while the Gila goes back to staring at his phone. I can't get hold of my aunt. Mayor aunt? Yeah, my aunt, who's the mayor. Maybe she's tied up with the police, sorting stuff out. I offer reassuringly, picking up a sugar packet from the table and emptying it into my mouth like an absolute cretin. Yeah, but you think she'd call me back? Leo raises an eyebrow at me from across the table, taking a sugar packet for himself. Hey, Otzer, you should have heard Cole's dad falling over himself thanking Jenna over the phone. All the cops in there were calling her a hero, yeah? Oh, quiet, you. Hey, I tried to play big hero too. I just happened to get shot for my efforts. Guess you're not as much of a smooth talker. Jenna groans, folding her arms in front of her chest. How's your wound doing, by the way? My wing? Well, I won't be flying again anytime soon, which I'm fine with. Micah's wings are largely vestigial, as I understand it, not meant to carry a fully anthropomorphic person in flight. However, they're still big enough to slow a descent when falling, or keep you up in the air for a bit when you're being hung by a razor-bladed noose. The paramedic guy sprayed me with some stuff and I should be fine. I've had worse piercings. Piercings? I don't see any. I know. Aha! Jenna frowns. Leo gives the bat a sidelong look, thinning his lips along the contours of his jowls. Doyle's attention flicks back to me, before he downs one of the sugar packets in his grasp. He and I used to swipe these from the diner all the time, creamers too. He'd always go for the aspartame or stevia-based ones though. I could see Jenna giving us a curious glance, before refocusing attention to me. Anyway, the police were pretty happy with you too. It takes me a second to realise to what she's referring to, and I quickly wave a dismissive paw. Oh, well, I'm sure I just gave them more work. That's their job, Chase. TJ, who's been relatively silent next to me, looks increasingly perplexed, his ears folded downward. With everything going on, I realised I hadn't told the rest of the gang about my discovery. Oh, for those not present, I found an old corpse on the side of the road from like the 70s. This gets Cole, Flynn and TJ's attention. Found is putting it mildly. You picked a bunch of dirt and started digging until you found the guy's body and wallet. What? I hold up my paws, shaking my head. I can't explain it. I can't explain a lot of things. The fact the body is so old though means I'm not a suspect at least. A weirdly sour feeling courses through my body and I instinctively squeeze my tail beneath the table. But they ran the guy's name through the system. His disappearance was so long ago, they don't even have a record of it anymore. They did find living family though, or at least a point of a contact from what I heard. Jenna smiles. I'm sure whoever they are, they'll be grateful for what you did. After 4 decades? Not so sure. Maybe it will just dig up old wounds, raising more questions than answers. It's not like I told the police my dream about the van or anything, or who the original owner was. To think, Sydney's dad killed a guy. No wonder he ended up the way he did. There's a moment of silence, Micah staring impatiently at the kitchen, and Flynn dialing up his aunt again. Jenna exhales, breaking the quiet. Regardless, I'm just glad you're all okay. Micah's fingers and neck are healing up nicely, and you two are finally separated. Jenna nods toward Leo and I. There's no way in hell that phrasing wasn't intentional. She has this self-confident smile on her face, though when neither of us respond, it diminishes. Leo just looks kinda distant. Not like before, of course, when he was all loopy post-breakdown, but like he's got a lot on his mind that he hasn't really processed yet. I know exactly how he feels. Dig? Micah muses, idly tearing strips of his napkin off. Huh? Dig? That was a dick thing to say. Well, that's pretty rich coming from you. Micah's about to say something when Jenna cuts him off, speaking first. No, he's right. She brings her fingers to her temple for a moment, thinking, before focusing on Leo and I, making sure to meet her gaze. Acting like we're all still in high school, teasing you two about your relationship, it's not appropriate. And ultimately, it's driven by jealousy. Leo blinks. Jenna. It's not something I like to admit, but a lot of what I do is driven by that. I need to experience things I wasn't afforded growing up. Micah looks up from his napkin evisceration, the edges of his mouth curling up into a soft frown. Flynn glances over as well. A prank I orchestrated over 3 years ago led to this whole situation, picking at a raw nerve and leaving it to fester. My mind flashes to images of my smashed cell phone sitting on the pavement, Leo calling for me as I walk away. Do I think you two should be together? No. But is that any of my goddamn business? Also, no. And for that, I apologise. Wow. Flynn speaks my mind. We should go through more tragedies if it gets you to admit you're just as shitty as us for a change. Flynn grunts. Jenna waves off Flynn's comment. But seriously, Leo, don't hump chase at a children's arcade and then destroy it when you get caught. You smashed up an arcade. Yeah, I did. You know, I'm kind of a rebel. A real badass. Leo clicks his tongue against the roof of his mouth, letting a moment of silence pass as he glances offward. Nah, I'm a fucking idiot. Leo seems to be purposefully avoiding Jenna and I's gaze. Hey, people did worse things under the effects of the hum. Manifesting a torpor of one's ex-boyfriend? It's a bit much, no? Ex-boyfriend. I suppose that settles it, though I can feel how much it hurt for him to say that. He smiles regardless, of course. Well, if the torpor's giving good head, there's not much to complain about. Seriously, what the fuck are you guys talking about? I can't help but chuckle, and a few others do too, including Leo. To describe any of this in any sort of way that does it justice seems utterly untenable. Look, I reckon it's best if we put some time and a few beers in between this event and us before getting into the nitty-gritty details, yeah? Oh, planning another Echo meetup already? I ask, trying to sound more light-hearted than I feel. Fuck no, Otter, we've got the internet if we want to talk. My inbox is always open, though I think therapy might be a safer bet than beers. I could get you some harder stuff. Jenna sighs. Like... She seems to regret the question the moment she says it. You ever had a foot-tall devil dog cake with strawberry, cherry and raspberry filling? I know a place off the Santa Rita in Busby in Pueblo. Would take your mind off anything. I can also get you heroin. Micah, for God's sake. I'm just kidding, Christ. The cake place closed years ago. We talk for a few more minutes, mainly riffing on what the hell we're all going to do after this. The food arrives before Jenna and I really get a chance to weigh in, though. Not that I'm complaining, of course. The vanilla ice cream looks delicious. And Jenna's sandwich she offered to split doesn't look too bad either. She sets it gingerly on my plate. Flynn glares at his pink lemonade, as if it had just insulted him. Fucking hell. He glances over to Cole, who seems to be working up the energy to sit upright enough to eat his food. This looks like your piss after too many energy drinks. That was the once. Cole speaks up in a sniffly voice. The lizard looks like he's about to take a tentative drink when his phone goes off. He quickly snatches it up. Hello? Mark. He leans forward, resting his elbows on the tabletop. Yeah, hi. I left a message earlier. Have you heard anything from my aunt? He frowns suddenly. Okay, why? Alright. The lizard takes Cole by the shoulders and straightens him out, the bleary-eyed ram blinking some as Flynn tries to stand and scoot past him. I'll be right back. Flynn, after accidentally hit-bumping Micah in the face a half-dozen times, manages to exit the booth. He heads out toward the parking lot. Ordinarily, I get the impression this would annoy the shit out of the bat, but he's too excited for his plate of food to complain. He dives into the bacon first, shoving it all in his mouth, as a whole wad. Even Leo raises an eyebrow a bit. Don't choke. I think Micah mumbles an expletive at him. The hungry guy is already moving on to his jam and toast by the time I bite into my sandwich. We eat in silence for the most part, though it's not exactly awkward. I think we're just mainly content to have each other's company after everything we've been through. I can't fathom being alone with my thoughts after all this. Though, in the quiet, I do get to thinking about that voice that spoke to me by the van. It seems like a distant memory now, but it was so clear. We've been together for some time. I'm with you. You are indecisive by nature. I choose. Those words stick out to me the most. Glance around at my friends. I decide to try something. I let the ambient noise of the dinner fade out, focusing on trying to remember that voice, the one I've heard before. I close my eyes, emptying my mind of worries and other thoughts. I wait. Jenna nudges my shoulder, a french fry poking out of the corner of her mouth. You falling asleep on me, Chase? I refocus, managing a reassuring smile. Oh, no, I'm just taking a moment. Oh. She nods, as if this made perfect sense, no clarification needed. You holding up alright, though? You know, I think I'm okay, actually. Really? Her tone's skeptical, though in a sort of jokey way. Yeah, really. She finishes the rest of her fries, wiping her paws off with a napkin before something catches her attention across the room. Oh, do you look at that? Jukebox. I follow her gaze, spotting it by the door to the bathroom. It's pretty retro. It even has those plastic neon-filled tubes that flash when it's turned on. You don't see many of those these days, or jukeboxes in general. I think maybe most folks saw them as more of a nuisance than a mood setter. Come on, let's take a look. Oh, okay. I'm not sure why this is so interesting to her. After scooting out, she offers me her shoulder, her tail swishing gently behind her. I offer her a little nod of thanks, using it to help myself stand. Yo looks up at me from his plate of chicken and waffles. We meet each other's gaze for a few seconds, and he smiles. Alright, easy now. The EMTs already gave my leg a proper dressing after we got to the police station. Hell, they tried to get Leo and I to go with them to the hospital. Yet, of course, the last thing Leo wanted for us was to get all split up again. I actually agreed with him this time. Plus, I've heard some horror stories about ambulance bills. I relinquish my leaning on Jenna, and we walk, or hobble, toward the jukebox. The music selection's pretty dated for the most part, though there's some modern dance hits thrown in there surprisingly enough. They're scribbled on with permanent marker on sticky note labels. Jenna makes a show of inspecting the options, though she speaks up toward me. Hey. Hello. She lets out a little laugh and sighs. Sorry, just haven't gotten a moment to speak alone with you for some time. Something on your mind? She nods. A lot, actually. There's a considerable amount of things we've seen, that we've experienced, that will never make any plausible sense to anybody but us. Jenna gestures discreetly toward the rest of the group at the booth. I notice that Flynn is still not back. It does sort of put everything into perspective, I guess. Yeah. Part of me wonders whether I make the right decision. The musing comes to me as a surprise. Jenna never really the one to doubt her choices, or at least make such doubt known. What do you mean? Well, from what I figured from both your historical research and what Micah has said, this hysteria is cyclical. It always comes back, and ends up hurting whoever's around it. Now, I don't know whether it's gases seeping through the ground, weird radio signals, or something in the water, and I'm not sure anybody ever will. But what Heather wanted to do, flooding the town, that would certainly put a stopper on anyone trying to live there again. I don't think anybody is going to be wanted to stick around here for a long time after this. Jenna's gaze shifts to the tile floor beneath our feet. Yeah, for a long time, she repeats. I try to think of what to say next. In the background, I could hear Micah saying something crude about the origins of syrup. I glance back and see Leo chuckling and TJ covering his face. Carl stares out the window. I don't know if you can really fight forces of nature. Whatever's going on, it feels much bigger than us. But what you can do is help people, I guess. And that counts for something. What you did for Heather, despite everything she did to you, it counts. Second chances and all that. Jenna smiles. Chase, that's very nice of you to say. Very sappy, of course, but still sweet. I'm not quite sure I can fully see it that way, at least not yet. Her tail thwacks me a little, and after a brief moment of nearly teetering over, I thwack back. I think we all turned out okay, noting the circumstances. Echo's this tiny town in the middle of nowhere, and the shitty situations brought us together in the end. And I don't regret that. She taps her fingertips against the glass of the jukebox, looking elsewhere. I wonder what it would be like if Sydney was still here. The question catches me off guard. As far as I knew, Jenna never really liked the kid back in the day. Still, I guess he was part of our group, hence the thought maybe. I don't know. I don't really want to think about it, to be honest. Maybe he'd have helped Leo beat the shit out of Brian. I blink at her, the words sounding strange coming from her mouth. She looks at me, furrowing her brow. What? He was really into that wrestling stuff. I cross my arms over my chest. I guess. There's a long silence. I had a dream about him early on in the week. And once everything started, hitting the proverbial fan, I remember hearing these strange voices. She doesn't elaborate on that specific thought further, shifting focus to me. I didn't make anything of them at the time, but noting everything that happened later, she stops for a moment. If you want to talk to me about what happened sometime, just let me know, okay? I tried to read her expression, the offer seemingly sincere. I don't see any sign of judgment or scrutinising intent to her words. As usual around her, I find myself not quite sure what to say. Whatever happened to your claim that you're not a therapist? I'm not. I'm your friend. And I want it to stay that way for a long time. Despite my wariness at that original question, I can't help but feel a little fuzzy from that statement. So, just a friend, huh? Now it's Jenna's turn to be caught off guard, but the surprised look in her turquoise eyes lasts only for a second. Huh? Oh, perhaps you got the wrong impression this past week. I look at her and feel my heart starting to sink. I do mean my mind was under the effects of a town-wide sweeping of hysteria after all. I can't be held accountable for my actions. However, she sucks in the lip, staring at the ceiling as if in thought. If you wanted to take me on a proper date when we get back to Pueblo, I wouldn't be opposed. I feel myself slowly starting to grin and have to quickly reshift my face to a less creepy expression. Oh, okay, not opposed, huh? She lets out a humoured exhale, shaking her head. To speak candidly, me teasing and flirting with you around Leo, it's not really me. Or at least, it's not how I want to be. I should be better than that. Otherwise, I'm no better than Flynn at the river, plucking at raw nerves. I'll admit, I was kind of worried that you were just doing all of that to be competitive with Leo, like I was some kind of game. Jenna nods. Oh, that's completely true. What? I was, to at least some extent. Hence the offer for something a little less biased. I look at her, a little gobsmacked, but at the same time, I can't help but feel appreciative of the honesty. I guess I'll consider your offer. Okay, I'm going to pause this here. A little while ago, Jenna was talking about Sydney, and there was an implication there that from her dreams, she kind of has an idea as to what might have happened at the lake. If you've seen TJ's route, you might have further idea as to what that might be. But Jenna's non-judgmental and she appreciates that people being possessed and not in control of themselves is a factor in this. Okay, let's move on. She smiles, and for some reason she kind of reminds me of those old femme fatale types from old noir movies. In the meanwhile, I'm definitely going to start writing about our experiences here in Echo, specifically our most recent ones. How it augmented the perceptions of people, sometimes even in groups, is almost downright paranormal. Almost. Nothing's actually paranormal. I'm certain there's actual inputs and variables which determine certain triggers that resulted in what we saw. On a personal note, I'm just happy none of the effects seemed to linger once we left the town. No tulpa version of you hanging around Leo, no monster chasing TJ, no red figure following me, no visions of Keith for Micah or Heather. And you, well, how's that possession by the roadside ghost working out for you? I rub my head, feeling the welt from Brian's pistol whipping peeking out of my fur. I'm pretty sure he's gone. Oh, who says you can't run away from your traumas then? She winks, and I find myself smiling a little goofily. This is also insane, but I sure am glad she's here to talk me through it. Now, Chase Hunter, the true question. She turns to face the jukebox. What should we pick? Oh, we gotta pick a song? Okay. Got country, techno, soft rock, pop, or something random. Shall we just go country, as we're in the country? Oh, I don't like that font that just appeared. You know what? I don't know. How about you choose? Jenna gives me a quick nod. Whatever you say. Oh, here, this one looks good. She leans in and presses a button on the machine. We made it! We made it to the end of Echo. That was a wild situation. Okay, I hope you enjoyed all of the twists and turns, all of the... Say enjoy the traumas, but there was a lot of trauma in here. But this was a big, horror, spooky kind of game. and I really hope you enjoyed what happened here. Looks like this is about as happy ending as we're gonna get. It was very cool, and I really enjoyed getting through this game. It took me a while, but we did make it. This is Usho signing off, and hopefully I will see you next time.